All right. Hello and welcome back. Today we are going to be talking about the three biggest takeaways that I've had in the last 4 years of creating content. You're going to want to save this one because this is going to be juicy AF. So, the first thing that I took away in the last 4 years of creating content is that you want to show your life. Everybody talks about, and I've even said it before, don't get me wrong, there is definitely a point to sharing your authentic story and like sharing who you are and being genuine and honest, but like there's also a whole nother thing to showing your life. And I was listening to a podcast today about how when you are creating yourself on social media, your voice, yes, it does matter, but what also matters is your visual, like what you're creating visually, because your visual brand is just as important as the verbal brand. Because people, whether you know it or not, and this is something that we do subconsciously, we're trying to match what people are saying to what they appear as and what they look like. So it's like we hear something, but does it visually match, right? So we're trying to use our senses to make sure that things are cohesive and they match, right? So something that I talk about is like just being open and honest and being just genuinely yourself, right? And I am sitting down in my basement with my hair in a bun and with a sweatshirt on. And that's just honestly how I have to show up tonight, because I would rather create valuable content and be in a place that like I can authentically show up and provide you information, value, like my experience, my wisdom. And my wisdom doesn't need to be dressed up in a purple dress, right? Like, as much as I might want for that to happen, my brand isn't about that. My brand is about the honesty, the transparency, the authentic, genuine component of yourself. And yeah, I could probably incorporate something purple in here, right? Like before, I had one of my purple rollers for when we stretch in the background of a YouTube video. I could probably start wearing more purple things, but I right now don't have any purple things in my closet, and it's 8:47 at night, and I'm not going to go run upstairs because I'm going to go if I go run upstairs, I'm going to go right to bed. And I want to get this video done because I want you to have everything that you need in this. And I feel like people don't talk about this one enough. I feel like I'm going slightly tangentially here. You want to show your life. You want to show the events that you're doing, like the car ride to the zoo, and then when you're at the zoo and what you're doing at the zoo and what animals you're seeing and who you're with, and did you get a slushie, did you get a chicken wing, did you pet the giraffes, like why did you go see the giraffes, was one of your friends such a big fan of the giraffe exhibit, like why didn't you go see the lions, like capturing that is so important because people are curious. And I was actually saying something to someone earlier today. Now that you have been started, now that they started talking to me about this one particular person, I'm invested in their story, and when you show someone else's life, or you paint a picture and you start showing them this picture, then people start to become invested in this particular person. And for example, going back to the person who was talking to me today about someone else, they were saying, this kid drives this Porsche and he has $2,000 shoes, and like, well, now I'm curious. You know what I mean? Like, what happened that this person has a Porsche at whatever age he's at and has $2,000 shoes? Like, I'm invested in it. So showing your life, painting a picture like that where it's like the Porsche and the $2,000 shoes, that helps people on the other side of the camera, on the other side of your content, to be able to relate to you. And that's why it's very important to not only do the educational content, but to also do the more lifestyle type of content. So that's number one. Number two, my biggest takeaway here is that if something makes you frustrated, get rid of it. Avoid it. Take it off of your plate. I said this in another episode that I recorded. that Instagram makes me so frustrated because I feel like I'm fighting an uphill battle, and I feel like I've been doing Instagram for 9 or 10 years, and it makes me just feel like an absolute idiot whenever I get on the platform. And I get so frustrated that I make all of this content and it goes nowhere. And I have to do it Instagram's way. And if I don't do it Instagram's way, then it's like I get punished and I get nothing accomplished that I want to get accomplished for myself or my content or my business. And so I just reached this point very recently where I said to myself, you know what? I'm not going to do Instagram. I've been putting up content every day, sometimes twice a day, in order to please the algorithm. And I'm not going to sit here and spin my wheels on something that I don't enjoy. Just do the things that I enjoy. Because if I lean into creating videos on YouTube and talking on my podcast and connecting with people and collaborating and having guests and reaching out and learning new people and like learning about them, learning about new people's stories and where they've come from and how they built businesses and how they got into manifestation and how they started creating content for themselves, like, then I am going to see more coming from that than I would ever see coming from focusing on solely Instagram, because everybody else sees success on Instagram and everybody else says to use Instagram and everybody else says that this is how you're going to have a successful business. No, forget it. I get so frustrated on Instagram. I'm not going to use it for myself. I'm only going to be using the things that I enjoy. And that is YouTube. That is my podcast. That is maybe TikTok. I haven't made up my mind yet. So that's number 2, biggest takeaway. If something makes you frustrated, eliminate it or get it off your plate. Like there is going to be a point in time, don't get me wrong, where you might reach a level that you need to have that type of omnipresence, or you need to have those things taken care of, and you're going to have to get help from somebody else if it makes you frustrated. And there's nothing wrong with getting help from somebody else. In fact, it's probably the best thing for you to get help from somebody else, because then it takes something off of your plate and it's taking stress along with it. So consider that when you go onto a platform or to create content or whatever. Like, if there is a task even that makes you frustrated, maybe you can outsource that task to someone else, whether it's for a business or even not for a business, right? Just anything that makes you frustrated. And this goes for things outside of business as well, right? Anything that makes you frustrated, table it, give it to somebody else, or just get rid of it. It's not worth the frustration. It's really not worth the frustration. Of course, you want to determine if this is something that's a continual frustration or if it's just, like it pops up every once in a while. That's a different episode for a different day. But if you know that you're continuously, I'm going to go back to Instagram because I think it's a really good example. I continuously go onto Instagram and I'm frustrated every time. I'm like, I feel like I'm chasing every time I'm on Instagram. And I'm like, it's not worth it. It's not worth it to me anymore. So that's my second biggest takeaway. The third biggest takeaway that I have is to remember to prioritize yourself. We do all of this in the name of serving someone else or to make money or to like things that are all very external to our internal reality. And just recently I've had a lot of health issues come up, and I see now how fleeting time is, and I see now how important it is to prioritize myself and my health and me, like my care. Because if I don't stand up for me, who is going to stand up for me? And it's really important that you prioritize yourself. And that might look a different way at different points in time, right? Like, that might look like taking a year off of social media. That might look like only doing social media that you like to do. That might look like only keeping certain relationships, or like, I say only, it might look like keeping certain relationships, or it might look like eliminating other relationships. It might look like going to get a manicure and a pedicure. It might look like deciding that the best thing for you right now with the time that you have is just a pedicure, and you'll get a manicure at a different date. Like, all of those things You have to prioritize you. Like, if you know that you like something and you know that you enjoy XYZ, do XYZ. If you know that you need to take time away, take time away. Like, prioritize you going into this. This is your journey. This is your journey. And I'm in therapy right now. I'm not going to lie. I'm in therapy. And one of the things that my therapist was saying this past weekend was, when you compare yourself, you release all of the power of your life to all of these other people and all of the ideas of other people, right? Because a lot of the time, people are relating us or comparing us to people who aren't even here on earth anymore. They're dead, like grandparents or great-grandparents or whoever. And when you actually live life for you, guess what? It's gonna be so good. And it's so fun. So don't forget to prioritize you, and like, don't forget to prioritize what makes you happy and what you enjoy and what you really like to do, because this is your journey. This is your journey. And like, I'm prioritizing me this year. Like, I know that it might seem so selfish, but like, I have been going around thinking for years that somebody else held the key. Somebody else had the secret sauce to building an amazing business and creating amazing content and solving all these, business oriented type of problems. And like, I've signed up for every single thing, and it's just kept me in this perpetual loop of, well, you don't know, or like, you're still a student, or you're still learning. And like, there is a day, and there has to be a day for many, many more people on earth as well, where the learner, the student, then has to become the teacher, the doer, or even the master. Because you inevitably are going to have to take action at some point. And for me, that looks like putting out these videos. That looks like putting out these podcasts. It looks like connecting with people, getting interviews, speaking, going to speaking engagements, like doing all of these things, and just doing them, like doing the things that I want to do. And then what I can do from there, because I have learned a lot up until this point, is then when I'm there, which I'm reaching the point now that I'm understanding how much I actually have to offer, then it's like, okay, let me get my sea legs so I can turn this into something. And I know that it's not going to be that difficult, because I spent the last 5 years trying to get my sea legs to forcibly create something. And that's not how you create something. You can't force it together. It comes together on its own naturally. And maybe that's what this YouTube channel is. And I'm really excited to see if that's what it is, because I feel like it. I feel like this is the thing that it's going to come together naturally, and it's going to turn into this amazing, I don't like the word community. It's going to turn into this amazing base of humans. Human base. Not home base. It's going to turn into this amazing human base. And we're going to have so many connections and so many different people and so many different walks of life. And like, it just makes me excited even thinking about it. So that third one, I know I kind of went onto a tangent there. I think it's because the light is distracting me a little bit. It's like 9 o'clock at night. Third one is, don't forget to prioritize you. You are also very important. And after 4 or 5 years now of creating content, I can tell you with absolute and complete certainty that if you do not prioritize you, it's going to be a very, very long journey. Okay. Thank you for tuning in. If you are new and you like this episode, this video, be sure to hit subscribe, hit follow, turn on your notifications so that you get notified the next time I release a video or an episode. And let me know what your takeaways are. Let me know what questions you have. Shoot me a message down in the comments. I love seeing your comments. I'm actually going to go respond to some comments right now. So thank you for tuning in. I appreciate you being here, and I'll see you in the next video.